Okay, once again, welcome all our participants, our junior innovators to this platform. Today's series will be fiction book writing. As we have described in the previous webinars, I've shown you that how you can actually go for the introductory parts, what are the different software you can use, how you can frame an idea, you can draw that idea to writing. Now it's time for the reality, for the actual hands-on training, that how actually you can start preparing your first initial draft, which is very, very important. Unless and until you're not doing it in this first draft, there will be no longer any book. So my encouragement is that you should actually do the training program with this webinar and start the writing part. So in this book writing, today's webinar, we will see that how we can actually, the entire book has been made. First of all, there will be a title, a catchy title, how we can draft or make a title which has been eye-catching and very much productive in the sense of the book writing. Then comes the preface, how you can write it. I will give you a training also on the word, that what are the steps, important steps you should keep in mind. And then we will go to different forms, like how the chapters you can do, and what should be the key points you should always remember while writing the chapters, and what is your framework which you need to highlight in each and every chapter. Then comes the final part where you need to acknowledge, and then the bibliography, how you can do that. And of course, the final part, I will show you there are certain also tools and softwares which you can use in your book writing, which not only help you in terms of the grammar, in terms of the framework, or in terms of the writing part, but also can make use of these softwares in order to utilize the framework of your book as well. So there are many distinguished parts in today's webinar. First, we will and there is, of course, I will tell you the demonstration about the book, like how one book has different distinguished features, and what is the success story for those books. And you should also try to inspire with those books in order to write your own success story. So let's go to today's webinar. First, of course, we'll have the title. What is the title? What are the frameworks? Why it's important to have a title? What is the terminology? How you can make a title very catchy? Then, of course, the preface, the starting part, which is called the introductions also. Then comes your framework, the chapters, and then acknowledgement, bibliography, and one book will have the illustration also. And then we'll have the live demo. Now, let's the first part, which is very, very important. I'm sure all our junior innovators now have already started thinking about one book or some ideas. They have some oceans of ideas coming in their minds. Now you have to choose. Now you have to choose one idea and write it down. It has a framework, as I already told you in earlier webinars, that once you have created the idea, you have to write it down and make a story of it. And while you're reading other books, other famous books in the fictions, of course, you get inspired and you're making your own story. So all the framework is done. Now it's time to write it down. A title is the most important aspect of any book. If you see, sometimes the title denotes what actual the book content is. Sometimes it is very much different, but very catchy. But overall, in general, a title of a book should remark or should define what is going to happen in the book. For example, if you're writing a story about a kingdom, because it's a fiction, it's your imagination. You're writing a story about a kingdom. Then you need to produce a title which actually denotes to our readers that, okay, they are entering into the world of some kingdom where there's some king, so like this, you have to make sure your title actually reflects certain amount of hints to the reader that what is going to happen. Some of the titles, of course, in the very famous books, for example, one of my favorite book is Harry Potter. Now, this is the name of a guy who is in a quest, and I'm sure all of our kids have read the Harry Potter series as well. Now, this is very fascinating. The amount of the imagination the writer has in Harry Potter is incredible. Now he has many series. According to those many series, many books have been there, derived on it, and he has entitled those specific entitlements on the books. As also the Jungle Book. It's about the jungle, about one character with many characters associated with it. So and the title should be very catchy. It should not be longer, and it should not be really short. So first, let's talk about an ideal title or an optimized title. Now, there is nothing called an ideal title, but you should optimize a title. Means that it should not be longer than more than 13, 14 words, and it should not be shorter than 4 to 5 words. Of course, you can have the ideal is like 6, 7 words. You can frame a title, and then you start writing the next part, which is the preface. Now, in most of the books you have seen, especially in the fiction books and also in the comic books you have seen, they have different variations. In the comics, they have difference, but in the illustration, in the books which is carrying more and more storylines, they have different prefaces. So you have to understand what is your story and how longer you can take that story, in how many chapters, what are the different variations. As we talked about in our earlier webinars, I'm sure you remember that there are 2 young authors which have made 2 books. One is, of course, one of the dragon story from Sushil. This is the two Indian authors which has made a dragon story. Now, their dragon story has been there in 4 chapters. Now, very beautifully, they have mentioned the initial part and then in the final part. So this is that's how they have done it, very beautiful. And they named the title in just 7 sentences, which is very ideal. So that is how you also, and we will see when we'll do a live demonstration of the writing part. Then you can see that, okay, how much the title, what we can do. There are certain softwares also you can use in order to improve. There are many things you can do, but initially part is you to write down. Okay. Then comes the chapters. Of course, the chapters is basically denotes your creativity. What is the storyline you have picked it up, and how you are able to differentiate it into the chapters. Initial part is always setting up the background, as I think we have discussed earlier also in the webinars. Like once you make the introduction of all the characters in the first chapter, you have to introduce your characters in terms of the chapters. We will see how you can do the chapters, what are the various methods of numbering them, the real hands-on training also in the last part, where I'll show you in the Word file that how you can actually start writing it. And there are certain techniques and tweaks which we can use in order to highlight certain things. I will also tell you. But in general, the framework of the chapters is very, very important. And then comes the acknowledgement. After the end of your story, you need to acknowledge. Very, very important as well. Then comes the bibliography. Of course, you need to write down where the sources were. Of course, you're taking certain of the sources for your imagination. Then, of course, you need to write it down, the reference part also. I will show you how you can do that as well. And then the book illustrations. Now I have chosen one book today. We will go a video book demonstration where you can see that how beautifully you can also make or have an idea about writing the book part. Yeah, so as I was talking about the live demonstrations of the book in MS Word, how we can start writing it. And then we can move towards also on the part where after these entire book illustration, one story I have chosen, which is a very much clear in the video, you will see that how you can actually have an idea and you start writing, and what are the factors you should keep in mind. Whatever the ideas you have, make make sure that they will be imbibed on the paper and you're writing that. So this is very, very important as well. So all in all, today's webinar, we have seen that the introduction, the title part should be short, crisp, and certain terminology should be there. Then the preface, the chapters while will come. We will see in the Word file how we can demark those chapters in a proper way so that the writing part will be beautiful. Then comes the acknowledgement. I will show you how you can do the bibliography also in the Word file. And then we'll go for the video demonstration, that one of the book I have selected. It is wonderful demonstration. It is tell you that how you can actually make an idea into reality while writing the book. Very, very important as well. And let's go. I will just stop sharing the screen for now. Let's go for the demonstration, like how we can start. Basically, we need to start whatever we have idea, whatever we have written down. We need to start in terms of the book. So I will start sharing the screen for okay. So okay, I hope it is clearly visible now. This is common. I'm sure all the kids are familiar with MS Word, and if not, then you can start you can install in your laptop or in computer. It is already there. You can start writing, because this is a very good tool to write down, and in order to once you have documented it, of course you can write it down on a piece of paper also, but I will recommend, because it's in digital publication, you should write down on a computer, ask your parents to get the help, and then start writing. The first thing you'll find out in the Word file is, of course, there are certain sections. There is a home, there is insert, page layout. Now you go to home, you can just start writing whatever you want to write, and of course the title. Now, for example, if I'm looking for the title, there are, of course, certain variation you can do, which I normally do. For example, here you can see the title. You can just click here and you can write, for example, if I want to write any book, which is my favorite, let's say the Jungle Book, or your title. Now this is your title, and you can also frame the title a bit longer, and expedition from. Now I just have, and of course you can have the corrections as well. Now I just made a title. This is the book I want to write. Let's say, for example, hypothetically. Again, I'm telling you, you can just go to the home on the title button, and now you have a very beautiful title. Not longer, not shorter. Ideally, it should be within 2 to 14 words. Now, once I made the title, you can always go for the pages. Now, for example, there are certain themes the Word is giving to you in terms of writing the book. There are also fonts, colors you can denote. But my suggestion is, try to first the initial draft, you just try to write it down in a normal way, and then you can, of course, also align them. I will show you in a quick section that how you can do that. Now you have done with your title. Okay, and then now let's come to your second part, which comes the preface. Of course, in the subheadings, you can go, and then you can go with us heading 1, of course. Okay. Now you can write it down. For example, it is a preface. What is the preface? Then you can go to your background. Now you can start with your chapters. Now, for example, I will just give you an example how you can actually start with the chapters as well. For example, here in a Word file, you can start now. You can start writing your preface, your background, whatever your story is, the characters. This is the rough draft you have to prepare initially to write it down. In the background, you will say about your characters. Okay. like whatever the characters you have selected in terms of your imagination. I'm imagining here that I'm writing a book on the jungle. So for example, I have so many characters, so many animals like this. So you can say your character's name as well. And now you define that, okay, I have 4 chapters in it. Okay, then with these 4 chapters, then I will start making some key points. What are these key points? Key points means what should I write in the backgrounds? For example, about the characters, what I'm writing down. So this is like the rough draft you have to prepare. For example, my key points will be that, okay, Mowgli will be one of my major characters. Then there will be certain characters from Mowgli, which are their friends. Then it's enemy. Like this, you have to make sure that you're making one story out of it. Whatever you're writing, you need to make that, okay, what are my characters, what are their friends, what are their names, hypothetical name, imaginations. Of course, that is how your entire idea, you should write it down here. Now comes the part where actually you can select. For example, if you're writing, I will just take an example from the Word file. If you are writing certain stories, for example, if you're written down, and then you can also start in the sections where you can actually do the numberings, which is very, very important. For example, if you go to the reference section, okay, and then you can in the reference section, you can add okay, this is the leveling there. Now in the reference section, for example, whatever the insertion you want to make, you can make an insertion and you can write it down in this way. Like for example, if you are writing certain words, certain stories, and then you want to remake it, then you can have insert certain footnotes that, okay, I will keep this in mind as well. Now, let's say if you want to name a number, all these things, of course, while writing, it is very much important that you should number each and everything. For example, if I say that page 2, line number 26, how you can actually do that? Of course, you can start with the insert part, and then you can go with the page layout, you can go, and then you can start with the line numbers. So this is one of the most important feature, writing a book. For example, if you can go towards the page layout, you can put the line numbers. For example, if I'm writing my story here, and of course, the line numbers will be automatically generated. Now, for example, if I say, and of course you have to, you put your page number also. For example, you can have in the line numbers, you can say continuous also. For example, it will be continuous till from the beginning sentence to the last sentence, or you can do the continuous numbers as well. And then of course you can add the page numbers, you can add, so that this will remark that, okay, page 7, line 37, okay, this is not good. So this is good editing part also. Now, whenever you're writing in a flow, and then you need to edit also sooner or later, you need to edit those things. So then this will make your the entire thing very easy in order to review whatever you have written. Then of course comes the part where you can also write about, you can also always check the word counts, how many word counts I'm doing. For example, here it will suggest you that, okay, the page 1 has 15 words. There are almost 8 in 8 lines. So for example, see, I have seen in the 8 lines I have checked. Now, this is the main aspect which you start initially in the initial phase. And of course, you can always check your grammar here from the Word files. Okay, you can always check your grammar from the Word file. So this is another good feature for the Word file, where you can actually go for writing the part. Now, if you want to make any comments, for example, you're writing one story for the Mowgli, and you're writing like 10 pages, then suddenly when you find it out that, okay, I need some comments from the expert, I need the comments for some of the reviewers, then you can actually just keep it here as a comment section. There is a comment section in the review part, You can put the comment and then you can just write it down, recheck. Okay, I need to recheck this line, which am I writing about with any character. Now, once you open it up, you can see that, okay, I need to recheck. For example, whatever the title or the background, or for example, if the preface, I need to recheck. Okay, then I will make my date. Okay, date, let's say Monday, I will check at 9:30. So this how you can make that. Okay, now whenever you are scrolling down and writing down, immediately you see that, okay, something is going to happen here. Oh, I have already made a note on Saturday that Monday I need to check this, and you can actually edit. So this is the helping tools from the Word, which makes your life very easy in order to write. Whatever you are writing, this is the norm that you make a title, you write it down certain things, and then you can make certain these changes in the Word file so that it will be easier for you in order to write the titles. Now, of course, there is another section which I wanted to tell you about, which is very, very important also in terms of the writing the book. Now, for example, you have write it down, then of course you can you can add the number of pages, and of course, if you can also add so many pictures. Here is the picture button. You can add certain shapes, stuff, but this is and also the headers and footers. And one of the most important feature you should add, the first thing is of course the numbers, the page number. For example, here if you click onto the insert, you will get the page number. Now, where you want the page number, it depends on a number of the books and the publishers. But mainly you should put the page numbers on the right hand bottom side, or you can number it 1, 2, 3, or you can do it Roman. In terms of the chapters, you can either number with the chapters. For example, if you have 4 chapters in your story, you can number from 1 to one story, 1 to whatever the number of the pages to that story, and then you can start with another. But normally with one line, you always put in the margins. For example, here, if you see, the Word will show you that where the page title will be. Either it will be in accent bar, for example, 1 dot page, or in the bottom, it will say like this. So it is your choice to put. For example, for my theory, I was always put in the plane on the left hand side. So this is now my numbering is also there. Now, if you see that if I go to page 2, you can see the page 2. Now you can also add the page. For example, if I have just shown you in the insert, you can see that there are many variants. You can select out of these variants. There are many variants. You can select whichever you want to fill. For example, this is another variant. This is another variant, vertical outliners. And if you're going for the animated ones, so it all depends, of course, on your like how you want to number your page numbers. Very, very important, because then you need to know that how many pages have written per week. Okay, and of course, never forget to make sure that you have the continuous lines. That continuous lines is coming from the reference section where you have the part also. Now, of course, let's come to the home part. I have shown you the many options how you can write titles, subtitles, subtitle emphasis, and of course there are certain quotations will come up. So you can take all the help of this Word files in the insert part, and you can start writing, so that whenever you're reading it again, you know that, okay, this is my title, this is my subtitle, this is my content. Then again comes the subtitles, and that's how you start writing in the Word file. This is very, very important. This not only makes your life easy to make sure that you're going in a right direction in the book writing, but also attracts the readers. So readers will not be confused that, okay, is the chapter is finished? Okay, what is happening next? So it's not be chaotic. It should be synchronized. And how it can be synchronized? You can do it on a Word file. Try to make sure that you make it very beautifully. Everything should be numbered, and that's how you do it in a Word file as well. So this is an important feature as well. And of course, you can take the help of other softwares as well. I will just share some of the softwares as well with you. We'll just share my PPT again, so that I can tell you about the softwares which you can also use. Now there are certain softwares which you can actually used for your word processing. Now these are all free softwares. You can just log in to the Google, and these are all free software. It's like the Word file only, and they will actually add some features also. Like you can also, for example, whenever you're writing something in a Word file, whenever you're writing something, for example, you're writing some stories, and you can always make sure that your entire content should be very synchronized. That how, for example, you can write the content and then you can just click all your content and then you click to the justify, it will be synchronized. So there are no margins, there are no features, so it will be very in a streamlined manner. Very important, always write it down in a justified manner. And then of course there are paragraphs, there are sub paragraphs, you can also do in that sense as well. Of course, if you're writing more number of things. Now let's come towards the softwares. There are many softwares for writing a book, and they are actually basically free softwares. You can install them in your computer, in your laptop, and basically they are all the word processors. So they are actually taking the Word files, the MS Word concepts only, but they are actually only denoting some highlighters are there, some of the animations, the margins are there. For example, in a book chapter also, one more important thing is that the margins. Now, for example, if you insert here, it is very important so that your margin should be very, in the page layout, you can go to the margins, okay, and you always keep it in the normal part where there is a 2.5 centimeter of the space all sides. Now, sometimes in a book, when you try to bind it, of course, that will come later. When you try to bind the book, you need to left the margin from the left-hand side. I'm sure after writing the book, we will also help you in that regard, because that is very important, so that your word should be in a synchronized manner, and when in a book, it will be look beautiful as well. So let's come to our next part, which is the softwares. Of course, Focuswriter is one of the very good software. Fast Pencil, this is also very good software in order for processing your idea, and it's all from the Word also. Then comes the Grammarly. There is software editor that is also a free version is also available for it, and Open Office, which is an MS Office deal. So this you can do with your book as well. Now let's start with one of the main features, that how you can write descriptively. Whenever kids want to write, they can have an idea. The book idea is very important. So I will just show you one 4 minutes video. This is kind of a video for most of the animated videos, that how there are certain movies which can be used and utilized in order to write down certain parts. So this is very important, and this is a 4-5 minutes video. I'm sure it will be interesting for the kids to learn that how you can write descriptively with the imagination or by looking the books as well. So I will try to share the screen and play the video. Okay, I hope this is audible. So there are
fiction for many reasons.
Yeah.
To be entertained, to find out who done it, to travel to strange new planets, to be scared, to laugh, to cry, to think, to feel, to be so absorbed that for a while we forget where we are. So, how about writing fiction? How do you suck your readers into your stories? With an exciting plot? Maybe. Fascinating characters? Probably. Beautiful language? Billy's legs are noodles. The ends of her hair are poison needles. Her tongue is a bristly sponge, and her eyes are bags of bleach. Did that description almost make you feel as queasy as Billy? We grasp that Billy's legs aren't actual noodles. To Billy, they feel as limp as cooked noodles. It's an implied comparison, a metaphor. Feels gated and weak. Chances are, the second description wasn't as vivid to you as the first. The point of fiction is to cast a spell, a momentary illusion you are living in the world of the story. Fiction engages the senses, helps us create vivid mental simulacra of the experiences the characters are having. Stage and screen engage some of our senses directly. We see and hear the interactions of the characters. Non-tactile language, the spell risks being a weak one. Your reader what it really feels like. Story. Also plays with our ability to abstract and make complex associations. Look at the following sentence. The world was ghost quiet, except for the crack of sails and the burbling of water against hull. The words quiet, crack, and burbling engage the sense of hearing. Each word he chooses evokes a particular quality of sound. Then, like an artist laying on washes of color to give the sense of texture to a painting, he adds another layer, motion, the crack of sails, and touch, the burbling of water against hull. Finally, he gives us an abstract connection by linking the word quiet with the word ghost. Not quiet as a ghost, which would put a distancing layer of simile between the reader and the experience. Instead, Bacall creates the metaphor ghost quiet for an implied rather than overt comparison. Writers are always told to avoid cliches because there's very little engagement for the reader in an overused image such as red as a rose, but give them love began on a beach. It began that day when Jacob saw Annette in her stewed cherry dress, and their brains engage in about to fall in love. They're experiencing the story at both a visceral and a conceptual level. Play of so when you write, then create unexpected connotations among your story elements and set your readers' brushfire imaginations alight.
Okay, so I'm sure you have had a notion about this video. What this video is actually telling you about the writing part for the fiction book is actually that you should not use the common sentences which has been used almost in daily routine or in daily linguistics. You will choose certain combinations of words which actually define with the senses of your readers. So this is very, very important as well. Now, once you have chosen those words which is defining those things, then definitely it will not only help in order to make sure that your writing is attractive, your writing is very much penetrating to the readers. And of course, while you're writing this framework in a Word file as well, you need to understand in the Word file, you can also use certain anonyms and synonyms. The paraphrasing should be there. so that your reading or your writing will be much more blossomed in that sense. So this is one of the most important aspect for the writing. Now, of course, I wanted to tell you about another story, but in a book sense. What is in the book sense we can do that? If you look at any book, the title, starting from the title, the preface, the chapters, the acknowledgement, the bibliography, one thing which is also you can do, which is in the part of the Word file, which I can show you, that you can write down the bibliography. You can prepare a manuscript also, like you can prepare all the works you have been reading, the previous books you are reading. Basically, if you want to refer certain books, of course you can put that book into that references into that section as well. And of course, how you can do it, I will just show you in a quick succession. I will again share my screen from the Word file and then just show you that how you can actually prepare that thing also. Now, in a Word file, if you go towards the references section, you will find there is called the bibliography. Now, of course, this is what the general bibliography of the Word file will looks. Now, of course, you can also insert, you can prepare your own bibliographical list, and you can insert it into this into the Word file. And once you are inserting it, it is automatically taking out the works from your bibliography. Of course, if I have written down certain books as a references, it will take down as a references here automatically in the section as well. This is how you can actually cite also some of the works as well. And again, one of the most important features while writing part is that whatever you write in the Word format, you always write in let's say in the font which is very much universally used. You can write, there are so many fonts to write, Times New Roman with 12 with certain spacing. Now, if you are writing some sentences about the characters, then what you can do is, of course, you can use the spacing part. Now, how it is important, the spacing, the word space, that means one sentence with another sentence. You can choose, for example, if it is 1.5, or ideally it should be always 1.5 to 1.5, so that it will be not being congested. Your manuscript, your first book draft should not be really congested. It should have some spacing also. So you can choose from here. You can do the spacing as well. And of course, in the meanwhile, whatever you're writing, you can put it in the bold sections, and that's how you write. You use these headers. Always use these headers in terms of your writing, and then you can also create your first draft, which is very, very important to start. So today, I think this will be, it is very, very important for you to start your first part, which is the heading, the title, and then comes the preface. Start writing about the characters, the background, then you should write about the chapter wise. Like you have to make your first draft, the rough draft, and then you start writing. Once you start writing, you can always, and don't forget, always write in a justified mode. Here, you can see the linings are there. You can align, so there will be no adding in extra spaces to whatever you write. This is very, very important as well. Make sure your spacing should be normal. Make sure the margins, you should have proper margins in the page layout. And of course, then comes in the referring section. You should you can use the bibliography part. And of course, in the review part, you can add the comments. You can always check your word counts. And then definitely you can use the thesaurus also. You can use the dictionary also while writing. For example, if I want to write like significant effect, like, for example, I will just tell you. Now I can always look for like in the dictionary meaning, what is the meaning of the significant? If I click here in the significant and I click the the thesaurus part, it will show me the meaning. So for example, in thesaurus, it is important, major, noteworthy. So I can always change. For example, if significant has been used widely, so I can choose to momentous, and then from momentous, I can change this to significant to other part, that is the momentous. So you can always paraphrase like this. So the meaning should remains the same. Very important. It's not that every time you should use this kind of things, but you need to be very critical what you're using in terms of the paraphrasing. So whatever you write, you can re-edit yourself so that when you read it, it will be really good. And if you feel good, then only you can expect when the readers are reading it, your story with your wordings, they will be also be happy and will be having the feeling of the same, and then only they can recommend others to read the book. So this is how it goes. Okay, so now I think we have covered today the important aspects of our fiction book writing, how you can write, how you can use the word file, start writing with the first draft, which is very, very important. And then once you start writing that part, you can use all the tools which is available also on the internet. But my suggestion is use the word file, all the things which I've told you. Start with the beginning, at least start with these things, and then later on, of course, we'll also come up with more webinars with the series that you can have an advanced way where you can be perfect in the writing and then perfect in the editing also, and then will be the main prospect, which is your book, will be ready. So this is the most of the time. This is the, and of course you've seen in the video also, always use the emotions in terms of do not write it very simplistically in order to make sure that your reader should be engaged. In a fiction book writing, this is what it counts, to have an imagination and make your imagination to a different level to the readers, so that when the readers are reading it, they will be also baffled and amazed by that kind of imagination, and always keep them on their toes, as they say, that so that feel excited. They will always be excited to read your work. And for that you have to write as well. For writing, you need certain technical details, and that's why you can start with the word file from tomorrow onwards. So I hope our junior innovators will start this thing with the help with their parents. They can start at least writing in a word file. The experience will be really good for them also, and that is what our motive as well. So I would like, for this note, I would like to end my presentation for today. And thank you so much once again to our MD ma'am for giving me this opportunity to interact with our junior innovators and tell them how to actually start the writing process for the fiction book. So thank you once again, ma'am, and hope this will be a very good evening to everyone as well. Thank you, ma'am.